Very good morning and welcome to Breakfast News. In the next 1 hour, we'll get you all the latest news and updates from India and across the globe. We have different segments also. We have business section, we have web reviews, we have segment across the globe, and my favorite sports section. And we have a very good news coming in from sports. India have beaten reigning Olympic champions Argentina in the first practice match. My name is Abhishek Mahajan and with me is my colleague Shreya Upadhyay. Good morning, and you look good in a sari.
Good morning, Abhishek. Good morning, India. And of course, we'll be getting you updates about the COVID-19 situation across the country and of course the vaccination progress that is happening across India as well. And of course, we'll get you updates from pole-bound West Bengal too. All of this and much more in today's Breakfast News. But first, let's take a quick look at the headlines that we are tracking at this hour.
US President Joe Biden says all American adults eligible for COVID-19 vaccine by April 19, wants the rapid spread of COVID-19 throughout the nation, urges Americans not to let their guard down during the coronavirus pandemic.
Last flyby of asteroid Bennu for NASA's OSIRIS-REx today. The spacecraft will observe the asteroid from a distance of about 3.7 kilometers, the closest since sample collection event on October 2020.
Back home, PM Modi to interact today with students, teachers, parents all over the world in the 4th edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha. The event will be held in virtual format due to COVID-19 restrictions.
Centre urges electronic media to generate greater awareness on the message of Dawai bhi kadai bhi by disseminating messages for COVID-appropriate behaviour and vaccination of eligible persons.
Last date of nominations for Phase 7, Phase 8 elections in West Bengal today. Also last date for withdrawal of Phase 6 nominations. Union Home Minister Amit Shah to hold roadshows in West Bengal.
And in sports, Indian hockey team start Argentina tour on a positive note. Beat reigning Olympic champions in the first practice match. Will also play FIH Hockey Pro League matches against the hosts.
Alright, so these were the headlines. Let's have a look at the stories in the national segment.
Well, the Union Health Minister, Dr. Harshvardhan, held a review meeting with health ministers of 11 most affected states by COVID-19 to take measures and devise future strategies to deal with the increase in daily new cases. The night curfew has been imposed in the national capital from 10 p.m. till 5 a.m. till the 30th of April. E-Pass is mandatory for essential services as well as 24/7 vaccinations.
The second wave of COVID-19 in India is a major cause of concern for all of us. Centre is making all efforts to contain the rising daily new cases. Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan brainstormed with health ministers of 11 states to take measures and devise future strategies to deal with the increase in daily new cases.
They would assist the state health department and the local district authorities in surveillance, control and containment measures.
Meanwhile, with a view to contain corona cases, the Delhi government has imposed night curfew in the national capital from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. with immediate effect till 30th of April. There will be no restrictions on traffic movement during the night curfew. People can get vaccinated but need to have an e-pass. Owners of ration, fruits, vegetables and medical stores will be allowed on e-pass. Print and electronic media personnel will also be allowed to move on e-pass. Private doctors, nurses and paramedical staff will remain exempted from night curfew. Passengers going to airports, railway stations and bus stations will be exempted if a valid ticket is produced. Pregnant women and patients going for treatment have also been exempted. India's daily new cases stood at 96,982 registered in the last 24 hours. Maharashtra has reported the highest daily new cases at 47,288, while on one hand, Maharashtra has the dubious distinction of having the most cases in the country, but the state has also become the first state in the country to cross the mark of 8 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine being administered.
इसको हमने taken for granted नहीं है. भारत की बहुत सारी जनसंख्या जो है वो ससेप्टेबल है. अभी वायरस यहीं पे है, हमें बच के रहना है और इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे, फैमिली लेवल पे, तंत्र के लेवल पे हमें पूरे वो काम करते रहना चाहिए हैं और चाहिए थे जिससे कि ये वायरस कंट्रोल में रहे.
In a landmark achievement in India's fight against COVID-19, more than 43 lakh vaccination doses were administered in the last 24 hours. This is the highest single-day vaccination coverage in the country so far. The cumulative vaccination coverage has now exceeded 8 crore 31 lakhs.
कोरोना का एकमात्र उपाय ही वैक्सीनेशन है और यदि हम वैक्सीनेशन करवाते हैं तो अपने आप को भी हम सुरक्षित रखते हैं और अपने आसपास को भी हम सुरक्षित रखते हैं.
हमारी सलाह है कि सभी लोग इस वैक्सीन को लगवाएं जिससे कि आने वाले खतरे को टाला जा सके.
दोनों डोज लग चुकी हैं और उसके बाद बहुत अच्छा रहा. दोनों डोज लगने के बाद कहीं कोई समस्या नहीं आई.
Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan launched massive public awareness campaign against coronavirus on Tuesday.
कोरोना संक्रमण को रोकने का व्यवहार चाहिए. अब बाकी काम सरकार करेगी. टेस्टिंग, ट्रेसिंग, टीकाकरण, ट्रीटमेंट, उसमें कसर नहीं छोड़ेंगे.
Although every effort is being made at the government level, but people also have to come forward and give their Jan Bhagidari to defeat corona pandemic. What is needed are three basic things: wearing face masks, maintaining social distancing, along with keeping hand and face hygiene, and of course, getting vaccinated when one's turn comes. With Nitendra Singh, Bureau Report, DD India.
Absolutely, we need to be very, very careful with surge of cases. Moving on, the Information and Broadcasting Ministry has urged private TV channels to generate greater awareness on the message of Dawai bhi kadai bhi by disseminating messages for COVID-appropriate behavior and vaccination of eligible persons. The ministry has issued an advisory to all private television channels in view of the rising cases in the country. It has reiterated the leadership role played by the TV channels in spreading message in the public interest. The advisory also cited Prime Minister Narendra Modi's meeting on Sunday to review the emerging situation, where it was decided to focus on a five-fold strategy of testing, tracing, treatment, COVID-appropriate behavior and vaccination. Right, to talk more on this, my colleague Sharma Mishra is joining us live from Mumbai. Good morning, Sharma. Over 1,15,000 cases were registered in India yesterday, and with over 55,000 cases in Maharashtra itself, and if I'm not wrong, over 10,000 in Mumbai. And we are learning that BMC has added some fresh restrictions.
Well, yes, and seeing that these numbers are rising every day and touching new highs every day and just not coming into control, every district is taking some or the other stringent measure on their own. The district collector or the divisional commissioner, they are coming out on their own with new terms, with new stringent measures. And we did see that after the rise in numbers that we saw in Mumbai yesterday, of these many days, BMC has also been deciding that what other measures could be put in place. There is a challenge that they have to keep the economy afloat as well, because Mumbai is the financial capital, and also keep the numbers in control. So the new stringent measures that are, the beaches would remain closed. Now this is till 30th April. After that, if the numbers are getting in control, then there could be some ease in restrictions. Otherwise, this deadline could be extended. Apart from that, we are also seeing quarantine or mini containment zones for the societies or colonies that are having 5 or more than 5 positive cases. These colonies, societies would be sealed, and nobody from outside would be allowed to go inside. Nobody from inside would be allowed to go outside. Apart from that, there are fines also if anybody found flouting these norms on the mini containment zone. The non-essential shops would remain shut. If we are talking about Monday to Friday, and this is about 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Non-essential shops would also remain shut. Religious places, beaches, tourists, these things would also remain shut. In Mumbai, I'm talking about. After that, from Friday onwards, Friday 8 p.m. onwards till Monday 7 a.m. onwards, this is like a weekend lockdown. Everything would be completely shut. Only essential services would remain on, and people cannot leave their houses without a valid reason. This would be, valid for the entire Maharashtra state, because Maharashtra, you know that many districts in Maharashtra are also registering the highest number in cases that has not been even registered in the first wave. So to contain the numbers and to manage the second wave, all these restrictions are being undertaken.
Sharma, one of the major segments of the society that is largely affected in this wave of coronavirus is said to be youngsters, young adults, teenagers who are going out more than the elderly of the house. To contain that segment, what has been done? Of course, the curfew has been there, and people are being advised to not go out and maintain all the social distancing guidelines and COVID-appropriate behavior. But in terms of containing that segment, especially the super spreaders, the so-called super spreaders, what is being done there?
First things first, talking about private offices, everybody has been asked to work from home. So that way they cannot step out of their house unnecessarily or for work-related requirements. So they're traveling, they're going out of the houses for office-related work is completely stopped there. So there is one chance that the spread, either they getting infected or infecting others, has been completely ruled out over here. Apart from that, we are also seeing the state government is urging again and again that even if you feel the mildest of symptoms, please come ahead and do an RT-PCR test. The emphasis is on conducting more RT-PCR tests so that proper information can be availed, because we know for the fact that rapid antigen tests, they are not completely reliable, and that is why more and more people are asked to take RT-PCR tests. Apart from that, we are also seeing these people who are actually going out more for unnecessary reasons, because in the first wave we complete lockdown and everyone were like there in the back of their mind, it was there that this particular pandemic is it could be fatal, or it can at least harm your members or themselves. And that is why this time around they are actually going out with the fact they're totally bored with the fact that they are staying in their house. So this is another reason why the numbers are increasing, and hence the state government is urging again and again, even if you are traveling, please wear proper mask. Please wear your mask properly.
People also, Sharma, people also need to be very, very careful, and obviously state curfew is obviously there, and weekend lockdown announced by the Maharashtra government is there, but people also need to be very, very careful. Sharma, thank you for giving us your vital inputs.
All right, from Mumbai, let's go across to Gujarat now and get you the COVID status there. Well, the Gujarat government has decided that 20 cities of the state will be under night curfew from 8 p.m. till 6 a.m. from today. Chief Minister Vijay Rupani said that 8 municipal corporations in the cities of Anand, Nadiad, Mahasana, Morbi, Patan, Godhra, Dahod, Bhuj, Gandhidham, Bharuch, Surendranagar and Amreli will be under 8 p.m. till 6 a.m. curfew daily till the 30th of April. He further said that the government offices will remain closed on all weekends of this month. He also added that a maximum of 100 people will be allowed at weddings and 50 at social gatherings.
Now let's move on. The third India-Bahrain High Joint Commission meeting will be held in New Delhi today. It will be co-chaired by Minister of External Affairs Dr. S. Jaishankar and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Bahrain Dr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani. The Foreign Affairs Minister of Bahrain has arrived in New Delhi Tuesday night on a 3-day visit to India. He will also call on Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu. Last week, senior officials of the two countries had met virtually in preparation for this meeting. and both sides reviewed their cooperation in different areas, including oil and gas, trade and investment, defense and security, food security, healthcare, renewable energy, space, IT, human resource, education and culture.
In other news, US climate envoy John Kerry on Tuesday met with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. Both the leaders discussed issues of global climate action. Dr. Jaishankar said that the discussion was good and, as always, passionate and interesting on this subject. And earlier on Tuesday, John Kerry met with Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar and discussed climate finance, joint research and collaboration, among other issues. US President Joe Biden will host a virtual leaders summit on climate on the 22nd and 23rd of April. 40 leaders, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, have been invited for this summit. Now, in a tweet, Minister Prakash Javadekar said, and I quote, had an engaging and fruitful discussion with Mr. John Kerry, Special Presidential Envoy for Climate. We discussed a range of issues, including climate finance, joint research and collaboration, etc. Unquote. Well, John Kerry also met with Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in New Delhi. And he will meet Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas and Steel Dharmendra Pradhan today.
And John Kerry on Tuesday praised India as a world leader in renewable energy. He hailed India's leadership, which has been critical on a range of issues, including delivering COVID vaccines to the world. He said decisive action by India in partnership with the rest of the world in committing to clean energy goals will determine what this transformation will mean for generations to come. Kerry added that the US is India's friend and partner that is around to support India through this path of a sustainable future. Kerry also appreciated Prime Minister Narendra Modi's target of reaching 450 gigawatt of renewables by 2030.
The climate crisis is an existential threat, certainly for large numbers of people, if not for the whole planet. India is today undergoing a remarkable transformation, lifting millions out of poverty, and it's a major player on the global stage. And decisive action from India now, in partnership with the rest of the world, will determine what this transformation will mean for all generations to come. India has the opportunity to both elevate women's empowerment and to avoid the mistakes made by other countries like ours. Mistakes that instead of building a modern and sustainable society that is the envy of the world, some of us have contributed too much to the problem that we're living through today. To transform our economy in a way that prevents the impending climate crisis by keeping global warming under 1.5 degrees Celsius. India's global leadership has been critical across a range of issues, including on delivering COVID vaccines to the world. But I am particularly grateful that India is getting the job done on climate, pushing the curve. You are indisputably a world leader already in the deployment of renewable energy, and your leadership of the International Solar Alliance promises to advance clean energy across India and other dynamic growing economies around the world. Prime Minister Modi's announcement of a target of 450 gigawatts of renewables by 2030 sets a very strong example for how to power a growing economy with clean energy.
Well, moving on, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov held talks with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar yesterday in New Delhi. They reviewed the status of the cooperation on a number of issues, including defense, space and nuclear energy. Lavrov's visit prepared the ground for President Vladimir Putin's visit to India for the annual India-Russia summit.
The strides, namaste and the elbow bump that set the tone for the India-Russia foreign ministers meeting, signifying a new era of cooperation amidst a global pandemic. The bonhomie was evident even as External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov got down to hard diplomacy.
Though the world has changed in the last 7 decades and there have been different governments at both ends, we are both cognizant of the multipolar and rebalanced nature of international relations today. We both understand the importance of our relationship to global peace, security and stability.
These ties are valuable, mutually respectful, and they are not subjected to political fluctuations. We noted with satisfaction that despite the pandemic, we were able to preserve the dynamic bilateral political dialogue. We agreed to joint efforts to overcome the declining mutual trade caused by the pandemic.
Even as Lavrov carried President Vladimir Putin's message for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the two leaders laid the groundwork for the upcoming visit of President Putin to India for the India-Russia Annual Summit. The two sides discussed cooperation across a range of sectors, from cooperation in the fields of nuclear and defense, Russian support on Gaganyaan, to discussions on the manufacturing of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine in India. Multifaceted areas of mutual interest were taken up.
We talked about long-standing partnership in nuclear, space and defense sectors. We assessed positively our economic cooperation, noting the new opportunities in Russian Far East. We spoke of connectivity, including the international North-South Transport Corridor and the Chennai-Vladivostok Eastern Maritime Corridor. Our rapidly expanding energy cooperation that now includes long-term commitments was also on the agenda.
We hope to launch as soon as possible talks on the free trade area between India and Eurasian Economic Union based on mutual benefit. We discussed bilateral military cooperation, including state-of-the-art weapons manufacturing. I'm sure that the deepening of the Russian-Indian military cooperation serves national interests of both countries.
Not just bilateral issues, but emerging regional dynamics were also discussed in a free and frank atmosphere. The two sides shared their perspectives on the political settlement in Afghanistan, as well as securing the Indo-Pacific.
For India, what happens in Afghanistan impacts its security directly. I shared our approach that a durable peace there would require harmonizing interests of all, both within and around that country. The peace process must be based on foundational principles to which we all subscribe, and a political solution should mean an independent, sovereign, united and democratic Afghanistan. I shared our viewpoint on the Indo-Pacific, as our Prime Minister pointed out at the Shangri-La dialogue some years ago. Contemporary challenges require countries to work together in new and different ways. Such cooperation also reflects the multipolar and rebalanced character of global politics.
The exchange of views on thorny issues of today shows proximity or similarity of our stances. We discussed such issues as peaceful settlement in Afghanistan, Syrian crisis, situation around Iran's nuclear program, situation in Myanmar. We also discussed the situation in the Eurasian continent and in Asia-Pacific in general.
UNSC reforms, G20, ASEAN, situation in Myanmar, the Iran nuclear deal, and a need for increased vaccine cooperation also figured prominently in the talks between S. Jaishankar and Sergei Lavrov. In the words of Dr. S. Jaishankar,
despite the COVID pandemic, I'm very glad to see we've actually sustained our contacts in this period. Prime Minister Modi and President Putin have held 4 telephonic conversations last year.
Despite the pandemic and its global fallout, the Russian Foreign Minister's India visit is a clear indication of the strength of India-Russia ties. Tapas Bhattacharya and Amritpal Singh's report for DD India.
So, host of issues were discussed by both the leaders. Moving on to our next story, which is Pariksha Pe Charcha. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with students, teachers and parents all over the world at Pariksha Pe Charcha 2021. through video conference today. This will be the first edition of this mega event, which will be held in a virtual mode due to restrictions posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. During the Pariksha Pe Charcha program, the Prime Minister will share ideas and suggestions to prepare and appear in exams without taking any stress. Pariksha Pe Charcha is a part of a larger initiative, Exam Warrior, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to create a stress-free atmosphere for the youngsters.
And my colleague Arun Sharma is joining us for more on this, on Prime Minister's Pariksha Pe Charcha today. Arun, good morning. It's that day of the year again when Prime Minister Modi will interact with students, parents and teachers, sharing stories from his life, anecdotes from his childhood on how to battle the exam stress. So really, an important day for everyone who's looking forward to talking with the Prime Minister and, helping themselves in reducing their exam stress. And of course, the important point being that amid the pandemic, it is being held in a virtual format.
Good morning, Shreya and Abhishek. Good morning, all our viewers. Indeed, it's a significant day for all the generation next primarily, because we know this fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi every year does this Pariksha Pe Charcha. And the idea is that how can students, be motivated? And there are three important stakeholders as far as Pariksha Pe Charcha is concerned. Number one, the students themselves. Number two, the parents. And last but not the least, the teachers primarily. So how can all these three stakeholders can make a conducive environment for the students so that they do not fall, prey to anxieties, stress, and all the other aspects, that creates pressure on the students. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is not likely to limit himself to the exam aspect as well. He is also likely to talk about life in itself. How to manage stress, how to overcome anxieties, how to overcome the expectations primarily of various people, be it parents, relatives, or the other people in your life. So how to deal with the expectations of the people. Now we know this fact that in last six and a half years, we have seen how government has come out with various initiatives like Startup India, the new education policy for that matter. Now these kind of initiatives, provides that ecosystem, a conducive environment for the students to think beyond studies, to think beyond examinations, because we have seen globally there are various examples and case studies that how school dropouts, how the students or the youngsters who were not successful in their exam or school life were actually successful people. You can take examples of people like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and to name many more on that aspect. So yes, more than 1 million people have, students primarily have registered for this global event, that is Pariksha Pe Charcha. Close to 250,000 parents have registered as far as this global initiative is concerned, and of course close to 100,000 teachers will also be part of this mega event. So idea is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be interacting with the students virtually, and will of course try to answer various queries, questions in the mind of students just ahead of this examination season, you can say that. So yes, indeed, it is not limited to examination. It is more about life as well, how to deal with expectations, how to manage stress, how to look forward beyond examinations, because exam is only a small subset of your life. It is not, it is not completely your life, or it does not define who you are. It does not define your life completely. So it's an important, but yes, a significant subset of your life that should be dealt very carefully. And in that context, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's samvad or dialogue with the students in a virtual mode is going to be very much significant.
Absolutely, over 10 lakh students have registered, over 93,000 parents have also registered, and like Shreya, Arun was also saying that PM Modi also enjoys this interaction because he puts himself in students' shoes also. This is very, very important, and you can watch this on various DD platforms, and Education Ministry has also shared the link also. You can watch this obviously on DD platforms too.
In fact, the Prime Minister has also tweeted about it a few minutes ago. He said the first ever virtual Pariksha Pe Charcha is going to be an exciting interaction. You could be an exam warrior, a parent or a teacher. There's something for everyone, and that's perhaps the moot point that comes out of Pariksha Pe Charcha every year, that there is something for everyone. It's not just students. Of course, the main emphasis is on students, but there's something for everyone to learn about exams, about life, when Prime Minister Modi shares his own childhood stories and his own anecdotes from his life.
Like leaving stress and nervousness behind, set yourself free. Like, moving on to our next story now. Polling was held on Tuesday in 4 states of West Bengal, Assam, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Besides the Union Territory of Puducherry, it was the third of 8 phases of polling in West Bengal. Assam, on the other hand, saw the third and last phase of polling. Voting took place in 475 assembly seats across 4 states and 1 Union Territory amidst pandemic, adhering to COVID-19 safety protocol to elect new governments. Counting of votes will take place on May 2nd.
All right, amid the third phase of polling in West Bengal, Prime Minister Narendra Modi campaigned for the BJP in North Bengal's Cooch Behar, slamming West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee for her appeal to Muslim population not to divide their vote. PM Modi said it indicates that she has lost popular support.
अभी हाल ही में आपने कहा कि सभी मुसलमान एक हो जाओ, वोट बंटने मत दो। दीदी, आप ये कह रही है, इसका मतलब है कि आपको यकीन हो गया है कि मुस्लिम वोट बैंक की आपकी जो ताकत आप मानती थी, वो मुस्लिम वोट बैंक भी आपके हाथ से निकल गया है। मुस्लिम भी आपसे दूर हो गए हैं। आपको पब्लिकली ऐसा कहना पड़ रहा है, इसी से पता चलता है कि आप इलेक्शन हार गई है।
Well, Prime Minister Modi said a similar appeal to the Hindus from the BJP would have drawn the wrath of the Election Commission as well as the media.
अगर हमने कहा होता कि सारे हिंदू एकजुट हो जाओ, बीजेपी को वोट दो, तो दीदी ये इलेक्शन कमीशन हमें 8-10 नोटिस भेज देता। प्रधानमंत्री को भी नोटिस आती, अध्यक्ष को भी आती, उम्मीदवार को भी आती। अरे इतना ही नहीं, सारे अखबार देश के पहले पेज पर भरे पड़े होते और दुनिया भर के एडिटोरियल लिख करके हमारे बाल नोच लिए होते।
In West Bengal, today is the last date of making nominations for Phase 7 and Phase 8 assembly elections. Also, it is the last date for candidates to withdraw their nomination for Phase 6 elections. Senior BJP leader and Home Minister Amit Shah will hold various road shows, first in Singur, then in Domjur, in Howrah Madhya and lastly in Behala, Purba.
And after that, we get you all the updates and the latest news from the world of web. We are joined by our colleague Amrit Pal, who's getting us all the interesting news from the web world.
Right. Good morning, Amrit Pal. What do you have in Web News Review?
Good morning, Abhishek. Well, I've chosen to lead with a report the Times of India has printed. It says active COVID-19 cases in India top 8 lakh, up from 7 lakh in record 2 days. Now, the paper prints that there's a spike and there's the cases have crossed the 8 lakh mark in just 2 days after going past the 7 lakh mark. Now, that is a worrying development. We can see the spike. We've seen 6 measures being put into place, and in fact, the Union Health Minister held a meeting with the health ministers of 11 states, which are showing a spurt. The second story by the Times of by the Mint is about that. It says Chhattisgarh worst hit by COVID, high number of UK variant cases in Punjab. Health Minister. Now, Dr. Harshvardhan yesterday said that the number of cases being seen in Chhattisgarh and the deaths happening in Chhattisgarh and Punjab are worrisome. In fact, reports say that the UK variant is pretty prevalent in Punjab. We know that in Punjab, the death rate is about 16.5%, which is unusually high. Now, the reason for that is being attributed by the paper to the UK variant. In Chhattisgarh, there is a positivity rate of 20% and a growth rate of 8%. There has been a 10-fold rise in the cases in the state, and this is the health minister says could be event driven, including grand weddings, local body elections, farmer protests, etc. The other story that the Indian Express prints, it says Moscow plays down Beijing, pledges deeper Delhi ties, S-400 to Afghanistan. Now, Dr. S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, who is in India, held a meeting yesterday where the two sides discussed the whole gamut of bilateral relationship, focusing on India's and the region's role in Afghanistan, to the Iran nuclear deal, and also the defense ties and the economic and trade ties between the two countries. When Sergei Lavrov was asked a question that is there a military alliance building up with China, he sought to play that down, saying their relations are at the highest point, but there is no military alliance. In fact, he took a swipe at the phone, saying that people are talking about a NATO kind of Asian alliance, but these are just talks and he doesn't see it existing anywhere. The Times of India has printed a story which says violence rocks the third phase of Bengal polls, 2 killed, 5 candidates attacked. As you know, Bengal went for the third phase of elections on 31 seats yesterday, and that's where the violence happened. Bengal is a pretty politically volatile state where it is prone to political violence, and that's what one saw yesterday also. The Mint printed a story, Reliance Jio to enhance spectrum footprint in Mumbai, Andhra Pradesh, Delhi circles after agreement with Airtel. Now, Reliance Jio Infocom Limited, or RIL, has entered into an agreement with Bharti Airtel in order to acquire the right to use their spectrum in the 800 megahertz band in the regions of Andhra Pradesh, Delhi and Mumbai circles. By this, it wishes to expand its network. This band was lying unused by Airtel. So that's what newspapers and web portals have printed this morning. It's back to you, Abhishek.
Right, thank you so much, Amritpal. Very important, vital news that you gave in Web News Review.
All right, after that, let's move on to our next section and get you international news in our segment Across the Globe.
So officials from 5 world powers began a new effort Tuesday to try to bring the United States back into the foundering 2015 nuclear deal they signed with Iran. Initial talks, which were termed as successful, included a meeting of the remaining parties to the original deal. Iran, Britain, China, France, Germany and Russia in a group called the Joint Commission that is chaired by the European Union. The United States did not attend. In 2018, then President Donald Trump pulled the US unilaterally out of the accord, and since then Iran has been steadily violating restrictions in the deal. And following the meeting in Vienna, Iran said that lifting US sanctions is the first and the most necessary action for reviving the deal. At the meeting, participants, however, have agreed to establish 2 expert-level groups, one on the lifting of sanctions and one on nuclear issues. Iran and world powers will now meet on April 9th, that is Friday, and to continue to talks which many diplomats feel can last for weeks. Meanwhile, the United States has described indirect talks with Iran in Vienna as a constructive and potentially useful step towards both sides resuming compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal that Washington abandoned 3 years ago.
Well, in some other news, NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission is on the brink of discovering the extent of the mess that it made on asteroid Bennu's surface during last fall's sample collection event. The OSIRIS-REx spacecraft will today get one last close encounter with Bennu as it performs a final flyover to capture images of the asteroid's surface. While performing the flyover, the spacecraft will observe Bennu from a distance of about 2.3 miles. Now, the OSIRIS-REx team decided to add this last flyover after Bennu's surface was significantly disturbed by the sample collection event. OSIRIS-REx, remember, is the third mission in NASA's New Frontiers program, which is managed by NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville in Alabama for the agency's Science Mission Directorate in Washington.
Moving further, Israel's new parliament was sworn in on Tuesday, giving the country a new legislature amid an unprecedented political stalemate after an inconclusive election. The ceremony took place hours after skeptical President Reuven Rivlin invited Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to form a new government. The country's longest-serving leader in power consecutively since 2009 now faces the tough challenge of enlisting enough allies for a governing coalition. Under law, Netanyahu will have 28 days to do so, with the possibility of a 2-week extension before President Reuven Rivlin picks another candidate or asks Parliament to choose one. Continued deadlock could ultimately result in a new election. Israel's election on 23rd March, its fourth in 2 years, ended with neither Netanyahu-led right-wing and religious bloc nor a prospective alliance of his opponents winning a parliamentary majority. But in consultations Rivlin held with political parties on Monday on granting the coalition-building mandate, Netanyahu received more endorsements than his challengers, leading to the president's televised announcement giving him the nod.
Given this state of things, where there is no majority of 61 Knesset members supporting a specific candidate, and in the absence of other considerations indicating the chances of any of the candidates to form a government, I have come to my decision according to the map of recommendations, which indicates that Knesset member Benjamin Netanyahu has a slightly higher chance of forming a government. Accordingly, I have decided to entrust him with the task of forming a government. This is not an easy decision to me morally and ethically.
From Israel to Russia, where Alexei Navalny, the prominent opponent of Russian President Vladimir Putin, is incarcerated in conditions which may amount to torture and may be slowly killing him. A human rights group, which is Amnesty International, said on Tuesday ahead of a report on human rights set to be published today. The agency said Navalny, who last year was poisoned with a military-grade nerve agent, was now being subjected to sleep deprivation and did not have access to a doctor that he could trust. Navalny announced a hunger strike last week in protest at what he said was the refusal of prison authorities to treat him properly for acute back and leg pain. The Kremlin declined to comment on Navalny's health but said that he would receive medical care like any other prisoner if he's ill. Navalny's ill treatment came at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic was exacerbated in inequalities, Amnesty International said in its annual report.
On to Spain now. A group of migrants were rescued on Tuesday traveling by 29 miles south of Gran Canaria. Among the 17 rescued migrants were 5 women and a minor. Spanish emergency service staff followed anti-COVID protocols and measured each person's temperature before providing them with wet blankets. The number of undocumented migrants arriving in the Canary Islands jumped 8-fold from 2019 to more than 25,000, with the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on tourism and other industries in North and Sub-Saharan Africa pushed more to embark on the dangerous journey. UN Refugee Agency UNHCR said hundreds died or went missing last year after attempting the crossing to the Spanish islands in the Atlantic Ocean, often in rickety, overcrowded boats with unreliable engines.
All right, let's now quickly take a look at the updates on the COVID-19 status from across the world. Cases of COVID-19 globally have surpassed the 13 crore mark. Over 13 crore 30 lakh people worldwide have so far tested positive for COVID-19, while more than 10 crore 72 lakh people have recovered from the coronavirus. The deadly virus has so far claimed more than 28 lakh 85,000 lives globally. United States, meanwhile, remains the worst affected country by the COVID-19 pandemic. More than 3 crore 14 lakh people have tested positive for the coronavirus in United States so far, and over 5 lakh 70,000 people have died of the disease in United States.
Moving further, US President Joe Biden on Tuesday moved up the COVID-19 vaccine eligibility target for all American adults to April 19, 2 weeks earlier than the first May deadline announced previously. Biden also warned the countrymen that with new variants of coronavirus spreading, the US is still in a life and death race. There has been no COVID-19 vaccine authorized yet for children under 16 years of age, although testing is still underway. Supplies of vaccines and efficiency in getting shots into arms have increased significantly in the race to get more people inoculated as more contagious virus variants circulate.
On March the 11th, I announced that I was opening up all vaccination sites to all adults by May 1st. Many governors, Democrats and Republicans, responded and decided to beat that date, which was good. Thanks to their hard work and the hard work of the American people and the hard work of my team, I'm announcing today that we're moving that date up from May 1st to April 19th nationwide. That means by no later than April 19th, in every part of this country, every adult over the age of 18 or older will be eligible to be vaccinated. The virus is spreading because we have too many people who, seeing the end in sight, think we're at the finish line already. But let me be deadly earnest with you. We aren't at the finish line. We still have a lot of work to do. We're still in a life and death race against this virus.
Earlier, Biden toured a vaccination site at Virginia Theological Seminary in Alexandria. At the center, the president thanked workers and people getting vaccinated. The U.S. government has ramped up the pace of vaccination as it works to end the COVID-19 pandemic. States with limited vaccine supply initially limited early doses to higher risk groups such as the elderly.
French Prime Minister Jean Castex on Tuesday said that France was on track to reach its vaccination target of 10 million people vaccinated by the 15th of April. Castex visited the Stade de France, a stadium turned into a largest vaccination center in the country. The stadium's vaccination center aims to give 10,000 jabs per week. Long queues were seen around some of the stadium's gates on Tuesday, and as of now, only people aged 70 years and above and those with comorbidity factors aged 50 and above can book appointments for vaccinations in France.
Tanzania now. Tanzania's new president Samia Suluhu Hassan has on Tuesday announced a scientific committee to research COVID-19. The announcement is an apparent departure from the pandemic skeptic policies of her predecessor John Magufuli, in which Tanzanians were encouraged to shun mask wearing and vaccines were denounced as a Western conspiracy. Hassan announced a new body to carry out scientific research.
I intend to form a committee of experts to have an in-depth look at the issue of COVID-19 and look at the remedies that we are being told will help us, expertly and in depth, and then they can advise the government. We cannot keep silent on it, accept it, or deny it without expert research findings.
In Peru, healthcare workers on Tuesday took to the streets of Lima to protest over labor conditions as they battle to cope with the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The doctors and nurses demanded medical supplies, more beds in ICUs and vaccinations, as well as better working conditions and pay. Peru has so far registered over 15,90,000 coronavirus cases, while the deadly virus has claimed over 53,000 lives in the country.
In Venezuela, more than a dozen student health workers on Tuesday protested outside a Caracas hospital over the lack of the COVID-19 vaccines. Students congregated outside the university hospital demanding an immediate plan for mass immunization, telling media that health workers are dying from coronavirus. Garbage bags were shaped into body bags to represent health worker deaths in the country.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the World Health Organization on Tuesday said that it is a travesty that some countries still have not had enough access to vaccines to begin inoculating health workers and the most vulnerable people against COVID-19. He added that increasing the production and equitable distribution are the major barriers to put an end to the acute stage of the coronavirus pandemic.
Right, so very important made by WHO boss also that vaccinations are very important.
Yes. And now let's move on to our next segment, which is Business Buzz.
Reserve Bank of India's Governor Shaktikant Das will announce the bi-monthly monetary policy today at 10 a.m. After the monetary policy announcement, RBI Governor would interact with media persons through video conferencing. The meeting of the RBI's Monetary Policy Committee began its bi-monthly meeting on Monday. In the last meeting, RBI has not changed interest rates and decided to keep an accommodative stance to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 and until growth is revived on a durable basis. At present, repo rate is at 4% and the reverse repo rate at 3.35%.
And after that, let's quickly get you all the excitement from the world of sports in Sports Track. Well, Mohamed Salah's goal offers his side a lifeline in the return game at Anfield against Real Madrid, but lost the game with 3-1. The Reds were largely second best throughout the game against a Real team, missing their first choice centre-back pairing, but packed with impressive attacking talent. Much of the damage was done in the first half as strikes from Vinicius Jr. and Marco Asensio put Real ahead at the break before Mohamed Salah grabbed an away goal for the Reds in the early stages of the second period. But Vinicius restored the hosts' two-goal cushion with 65 minutes on the clock, and Zinedine Zidane's side hold the upper hand heading into next Wednesday's second leg at Anfield. Jurgen Klopp acknowledged that Liverpool's performance was not good enough to get a better result.
Staying on to football, Phil Foden's last gasp try gave Manchester City a crucial slender advantage as Manchester City ran out 2-1 win over Borussia Dortmund in the first leg of the Champions League quarter-final tie. The Belgians scored the opener and had a big hand in winning the game as Pep Guardiola's side triumphed 2-1. Kevin De Bruyne had given City the lead with a crisp finish after 19 minutes played his part once more in the final minute of normal time after Marco Reus netted a late equalizer for the Germans at the Etihad. While the visitor will be bitterly disappointed to have conceded a second goal so late, Dortmund will take heart from the away goal and its overall performance and believe it has a real chance in next Wednesday's return game.
And up next is our health segment. Well, World Health Day is being observed today. The theme for this year's World Health Day is building a fairer, healthier world for everyone. Prime Minister Narendra Modi took to Twitter where he said, and I quote, "World Health Day is a day to reaffirm our gratitude and appreciation to all those who work day and night to keep our planet healthy." He said also that the day reiterates our commitment to supporting research and innovation in healthcare. The Prime Minister also said on World Health Day, the focus of everyone should be on fighting COVID-19 by taking all precautions, including wearing a mask, regularly washing your hands, among other protocols. He also said that one must also take all possible steps to boost immunity and stay fit. PM Modi said that the Government of India is taking a number of measures, including Ayushman Bharat and PM Jan Aushadhi Yojana, to ensure that people get access to top quality and affordable health care. India is also conducting the world's largest vaccination drive to strengthen the fight against COVID-19. And Union Minister Prakash Javadekar also tweeted on World Health Day. The minister said, and I quote, "On this World Health Day, I salute and thank all the healthcare and frontline workers for their relentless efforts towards fighting COVID-19. In recent years, India has taken several critical steps in building a fairer and healthier country," unquote.
And there are many factors that affect our health. Let's understand the importance of health in this report.
World Health Day is celebrated each year on 7th April globally. The day aims to create health awareness and aims to draw attention to the important health issues facing the world. Staying fit and healthy plays an important role in our life, but how to attain good health is a big question for most people.
Every year throughout the world, 7th of April is observed as the World Health Day, because on 7th of April in the year 1948, World Health Organization was formed. Every year there is a theme which is declared to highlight the pressing health related issues at that time. The theme this year for the World Health Day 2021 is Building a Fairer, Healthier World. There is a need to improve the health status of communities throughout the world. It is very essential for all of us to play our own respective roles as individuals, as healthcare professionals, as policy planners and implementers, so that we can ensure success of this theme.
People neglect their health because of their hectic daily schedules, but there are little things that you can do each day to be healthy and fit.
Let us all take a resolution. We will really work on a healthy India, exercise regularly, eat nutritious diet and follow habits which are good as far as infection control is concerned, like regular hand washing and wearing a mask till it is really required.
Give your day a healthier start, make a healthy plan and get started on the way to attaining complete health right from today.
For a healthy life, nutrition and exercise go hand in hand. If exercise is the king, nutrition is the queen, and together they form our wellness kingdom. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
Right, switching on to our next segment now, which is weather forecast.
Well, the western disturbance as a trough in mid and upper tropospheric westerlies with its axis at 3.1 kilometer. There will be an induced cyclonic circulation over Punjab and neighborhood. Fairly widespread to widespread rainfall and snowfall with thunderstorm or lightning is likely over Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Gilgit-Baltistan, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand during the next 24 hours. And heat wave conditions are likely in isolated pockets of Madhya Pradesh and East Vidarbha during the next 24 hours. There's also likely thunderstorm and rainfall over Arunachal Pradesh and Assam and Meghalaya during the 9th and 10th of April.
Right, that's all we have in this edition of Breakfast News. But before we go, let us remind you, remember to wear mask whenever you step out of your house or your office, and do remember and follow all the government protocols. And if you are eligible to be vaccinated, go and get vaccinated.
Absolutely. We can't stress enough how important it is for all of us, especially youngsters, to follow all the guidelines placed for us against COVID-19. Well, with that, it's a wrap. But, well, today is Sitar Maestro Pandit Ravi Shankar's birth anniversary, and we are leaving you with some of his performance. Thanks for joining us right now. Have a great day ahead and take care of your health. Bye-bye.